Well, it looks like I may have dodged the bullet for now with Apple fans because I haven't seen any death threats or any calling names and stuff. So, hey, well, looks like I'm about to become a kamikaze pilot and go head first. And I can't believe I just said that. But I am about to dive into the second part of our problems with each side. Now we are going into Android.
Get lost, get faded, get high off the love we're making. Go home with you late night. I do anything to feel alright.
Hey, what is up, everybody? Michael here. Welcome back. And alright, let me be honest, guys. I'm actually kind of happy I'm doing these videos. I know I said I was a little worried a few days ago when I did the Apple one. I actually filmed it a few days ago. It just took a little while to edit. But I'm actually happy I'm doing this because now you guys are seeing what I see and why I refuse to take a side in anything. Well, now it's time to dive into the Androids. Now, this one is going to be a little different because it's not mainly just YouTubers. I'm also going to address Android fans. You Android fans. Because you guys play a big role just as much as YouTubers. And you probably don't even realize it, but don't come at me because you get offended. This is just how you present yourself every time you argue, every time you do this, and every time. So this video will focus on a few YouTubers, but I'm gonna call out the Android fans and the Samsung Knights and all them. So let's get this argument. The problem with Android YouTubers. The first problem with Android YouTuber is it's simple. Every Android YouTuber on YouTube, literally that I know of, all they like to do is just hide behind a camera and never show their face. Look at, for example, Tech Talk TV, or if that's his YouTube channel. The guy literally makes videos, goes, "What is up, guys? Sal here, and this is Tech Talk." Like, dude, and don't call me racist. I'm Indian, so I can talk to my own because my mom is from India. But anyway, literally hides behind a screen with pictures. He never gets in front of the camera, never shows anything, but yet loves to talk about how the innovation and amazingness of Android, all that blah, blah, blah. Like, bro, we get it. You love Android. We get you talk about Android news, but can you please, like, show your face once in a while? Like, what are you ashamed of? You've got a million subs, probably by now. Or not even, probably. I don't know what he has. I do watch him, though. I'll be honest. He actually does have a few good videos, and he's very informative. I will give it that. But we're not going to stop with him. Then there's another guy, XXX Tension, whatever his name is. He's another one. Does the same thing, and although his thumbnail is kind of him, they always hide behind the camera. Like, they always hide. They never, like, do what I'm doing or most talk shows do. Because if you want to protect your privacy, I understand that completely, but like, you've been doing this for a long time, and this guy is known, and the other guy, Tech Talk, he was in the news recently with the Galaxy Note 10 leaks that were sent to him. So like, come on, man, like, what are you trying to hide? Stop hiding. But that goes for all Android YouTubers that I know of anyway. If I'm wrong, you could call it out. So that's one. Number two, same YouTuber, Tech Talk. He has a nerve to always want to bash Apple for everything. Now, if you don't believe me, here's an example. So he is talking about an upcoming Android phone, the Note 10, and then he'll go into the iPhone XR out of nowhere, and he'll say the crappy LCD display with a 820 something that still outsold most smartphones. Gee, I wonder why the 820p whatever, 720 high, whatever you want to call it, I wonder why that iPhone sold much better. Maybe is it because, you know, for the simple fact that for $750 you get an iPhone? Or is it maybe because it's iOS? Or maybe just because people like colors? Or maybe just because people don't want to spend $1,000? Or maybe just because it's simple. Everyone will buy Apple. Yeah, you're trying to make it sound like, oh, this should be the number one. Bro, do you really think people are like going to fall for Android just because you say so? Dude, I'm not trying to diss you or anything, but like, you literally have a problem with Apple. I could see you don't like Apple because every time you talk about them, you go from so excited talking about Samsung, Huawei, Oppo, and then when you get to Apple, and now we get to Apple. Like, bro, like, keep your freaking biases out when you're talking to people. Because not just Android YouTubers and Android fans watch, you've also got Apple fans in there. So keep your biases out of your videos. And that's another issue. But again, like, keep your biases out. You may not like a company, but when you're talking to your viewers, try to keep your personal shit away from the news. That's how I see it. Next issue is now to the Android YouTubers talking about the notch. Now, all you Android YouTubers are guilty of this, and don't tell me you're not. You guys raved at Apple with the notch. Y'all called Apple names. You literally said, Apple, you created the crappiest looking phone on the market. Gee, I wonder what happened in 2018. I can't really put my finger on it. Is it me, or did every Android phone maker try to start making iPhones? Because I clearly remember that. If you don't remember it, let's bring up a few. Almost every freaking Chinese knockoff. We can thank Johnny Ive for designing them because there is design. You've got the Huawei notches, Apple notches, you've got, I see. Well, obviously Samsung was the smartest one, the Google Pixel 3 XL. So what do you want to talk about Apple making a notch when your freaking Android phone makers are taking the design from Apple? Where's the ingenious about that? You're gonna say, oh well, the notch can do this and that. Look, I don't give a shit if your notch is that smaller or not. Why do you need a notch? Even the Asus phone, the guy who presented the Asus phone, he's like, yes, we have a notch. Like, why are you promoting a notch? Like, and then Apple YouTubers, and they're gonna go hit Android fans because, like, yeah, you talk all that shit. Well, guess what? They got a right to, because you be talking all that shit about the iPhone 10 and 10s. Although, to be fair, the 10s really should have dropped the notch or made it smaller. But still, y'all be talking shit when Apple did it, but when your phone makers do it, where are you at? I see only 1 or 2 people call them out, be like, what the hell are you doing? Everyone else is like, oh yeah, it'll have a notch. Because you know, you be talking all that shit, you can't back it up because your fucking company did that shit too. So you know you're just as guilty. So shut your fucking mouth. Now, next issue. Now we get to the Android fans. Now fans, I don't care if you come at me, personally, I don't give a shit. That's why I'm doing this. You guys are just as guilty as Apple sheeps. Now, Android Knights, I'm calling them Android Knights because you guys literally love to start fights. Apple YouTubers are one thing, Apple fans are another. But when you purposely start bringing up all the comparisons and try to make it sound like this and that is better, you realize you're arguing about the wrong thing. You're not talking about Android, the software. So for example, let me explain. So when the iPhone 10 came out, everybody was talking about how the Apple did away with the home button, did new user interface and everything. Every Android fan was literally raving about the hardware and talking about the design. But here's the thing. The software is more optimized. The software can be matched because Apple makes their own tech, which is something you guys still don't grasp. Although I think maybe 1 or 2 of you do. But you literally complain saying how Apple does this and that, but when your smartphones, again, when they take that shit and start doing it the same way Apple does it, where you at with all that talking? Where you at? And another thing with you Android fans, I keep calling Apple fans. Anyway, you guys also love to argue and cause fights with Apple fans. Like, you literally just love to trash Apple. Now, don't get me wrong, Apple deserves every shit they get because honestly, they're assholes. They're a piece of shit company. They act like one, they're gonna be one. But there are times when people literally just prefer simplicity, prefer something user-friendly, something that they don't want customization. They just want something simple. You will literally start bashing them in the comments. And that is why I've said it from day one. Like, you guys have some pair of balls literally complaining about hardware and software. And I'll get to Android arguments in a sec. But if somebody picks an iPhone, they're not picking it because Android sucks, they're picking it because it's what they like. And when I watch videos and I see comments where people literally tells them you made a stupid choice, you're fucking stupid, Android says hi, we got everything. Like, who gives a shit? That's what they like. You don't have to keep going in the comment section, keep trolling everybody, keep on comparing shit. If the person likes what they like it. The only mobile operatings right now is iOS and Android. If they prefer iOS, the software, not the hardware, which you people still keep complaining about, they're preferring iOS over Android for the simple reason that it's just what they like, it's their preference. But yet you will continue to bash them as if they committed a crime. They ain't committed no crime, they just like iPhone, they like iOS. And another thing, let's talk about hardware. So you guys always write in the comment section, oh well, Apple hardware, our Android phones. Are you talking about the actual phone or are you talking about the software? Because every time you guys argue, you always say Android phones are the best, Android phones are this. No, you're talking about the software. Let me explain something to you guys. Android is licensed by Google to everybody, and every company that gets them, they are not able to optimize it because of Android. It's optimized for Google Pixels. They have to come out with their own skins, make their own work. Here's the difference when it comes to that. Apple makes their own stuff. That's their own software. They don't license it because they know how to manage it. As for Google, you share the software so everybody gets it. You want to try to give them stock Android, but it doesn't work out because it's not optimized with the stuff you're putting in. So what do? You put more RAM. You try to put more storage. You put more of this and that. Let me time out for a second. Notice how the iPhone has 3 gigabytes of RAM and is still somehow able to last and have good memory and is still smoother versus a phone that has 6 gigabytes. Even if you put a 90 hertz display on the OnePlus 7 Pro, the iPhone literally takes 3 gigabytes and it can do the job. You got 6 gigabytes on a phone, 8 gigabytes on a phone, even 12 gigs of RAM. Think about that for a second. It takes you 12 gigs of RAM just to match the performance of the iPhone, and then you're going to sit there and say they will last longer? And that's another thing we're going to transition right into. Long-lasting phone. Now, tell me if I'm wrong, but is it me or is it that you guys like to say how Android phones are always the best, but yet you always stay hush-hush when it comes to how long that phone lasts? Well, let me break it down for you. On average, iPhones can last to a max 5 years. Yes, if you don't believe me, look at the surveys, look at the numbers, look at the polls, they're out there. Android phones, on the other hand, if you look at, let's say, Samsung Galaxy, my mom is a prime example. Her phone is on 2 years, and the thing is slow as shit. And it has Samsung One UI. Now, it has been known, they do say they will get 2 years support of updates and then a third year of security patches. But why would you need to only stop it at 2 years? Because it's simple, you can't optimize your software and hardware because the software probably outbeats your hardware. That's why Apple has the upper hand with performance. You can say all you want about your Android phone, but here's the end of the day, Apple makes their own stuff, so they are able to literally keep their stuff lasting for as long as they want. They have their own CPUs. You're using the Qualcomm chips. You can't tell when that Qualcomm chips is used this and that. You don't know how high it's going to peak and how low it can peak. You don't know any of that stuff because your phone is literally just a hunk of glass running Android powered by it. Or if you put your own skin, you might be able to optimize it, but you will never get it to the point where iPhones can last. Now listen, I'm not saying all Androids can't last as long, but if you look at people that have had phones, people I know still have the iPhone 5, the fucking iPhone 5, 5S, 6, 6 Plus, 6S, 6S Plus, 7 and forward are still not considered. But listen, the point is, you guys like to argue about how your Samsung phones and Android phones and everything can do this and that, but when it comes to lasting longer, which one weighs more? Now let's talk about, for Android YouTubers, they like to always, let's get back on the YouTubers and I'll get back into you guys. Another thing with Android YouTubers, you always like to bash Apple with innovation. You always like to say, Apple is never innovative. You're never coming up with ideas. They suck. They care only about this and that. Well, here's the simple fact. Apple only does what they want to do because it's simple. Apple can do what the fuck they want. They can do whatever they want. They don't need your fucking permission. Now, I'm not defending Apple, but I'm just stating my counter-argument because this is the problem with you guys. Because you guys see one way, but you don't look the other way. And here's another thing with Android YouTubers. They like to say how the Galaxy Fold, they like to bring up all these things about giving credit for being first. You know something I learned a long time ago? Sometimes it's better not to be first. Let somebody else do it, and then when they fuck up, you can learn so you don't make that mistake. Because it's simple. Look at the Galaxy Fold. That is the prime example. A foldable display, the concept. I have said this since day one. The concept is flawed. Not the technology, the concept. And here's the problem. They rushed the product. They just could not match it because of what's happening with the issues, and this is the risk of being first. If you wonder why Apple was never innovative, it's because they like to keep their failures behind closed doors. It's been known, but when you try to go out and rush to be first, like the first 5G phone, the first this, the first that, you're obviously going to see some problems because you pushed it to be first. That is why sometimes it's better to stay in the back, fuck up behind closed doors, than to fuck up in person. Now, you can't argue with Apple that the bending situation, the battery issues, all that kind of stuff, you can't make that shit up. Like, that's obvious that Apple's doing that. But here's the thing. How are you going to stop them? You're not going to stop them. You can't do shit. So, it's simple. Apple can do what the fuck they want. And also, like Apple, like I always say, it's better to just remain in the background and fuck up behind the scenes before you do it in first. Because, I mean, technically Apple's guilty with the iPad Pro. But anyway, let's keep moving. Now, Android YouTubers, let's stick track because I feel like I'm diving all over the place. But you guys see where I'm getting with this. I'm not trying to favor Apple, but at the same time, I'm not trying to favor Android. Like I told you, this is the purpose of these videos, to address the problems. Now, let's get to another problem. Let's talk now stock Android and skins. This is where I feel like where everybody starts talking. Because everyone likes to say iOS this and iOS that is boring and simple. Something I learned also a long time ago, if you can master it in a few days, or if it's something you can get a hold of in 2 days, you've already mastered it. If you want to challenge yourself, you go to Android. That's what iOS is. If you can master it in a few hours, you'll be fine. But with Android, it's customizable and stuff. But here's the thing. When companies like to start putting skins on the operating system to make it look like it's theirs, their operating system, you ain't got shit. You're still working with Android. Take Samsung, the perfect example. Samsung literally has a smart assistant named Bixby that can't do shit. They're literally trying to push Bixby. The problem is they are using Android. You want to keep saying Samsung phones can do this, Samsung phones can do that. They got cameras, displays, but you're running Android and you're using a user interface with a skin. So it's not going to be able because everybody can turn that shit off and just use Google Assistant, which is far better than Bixby. So if you want to make a statement and you want to prove yourself, get the fuck away from Android and make your own shit. Try to compete with Apple by making your own software. I don't understand what the issue is because I see you guys always like to say how Android this, Android that, but when you make your own skin, you say, oh yeah, well this is technically our. No, it's literally a skin. There's nothing special about a skin. There's nothing at all. There's no special skin that can tell you, oh, it's an Android phone. Anytime you look at any Androids, they all look the same. The skins may be different, but they're all the same because it's Android. There's nothing that distinguishes your device. The only thing that distinguishes your device is if you have maybe 1 or 2 features and your brand logo. Simple as that. And next thing, Android YouTubers. Whenever you like, and I should have addressed this with Apple YouTubers, but when you like purposely pick an Apple product and try to just like literally find reasons to bash it, you're not benefiting from it. You're just making yourself look like an asshole because then you're gonna get fucking hated. Same goes with Apple YouTubers. You try to fucking, like Taylor Swift, like he does that shit all the time. But when you literally like take an Apple product and you know for a fact you're not gonna like it, but yet you still take it out there and review it, and then you try to fucking play it off as if, you know, it's like terrible shit. Well, what did you expect? You only use fucking Android. So what the fuck were you expecting? Like, you clearly bought it because you want to say shit, because you fucking title your video, literally the title, stick with Android or this and that. So, case in point, like, what's the point of reviewing another product if you know you're not gonna like it? Next issue, and this is another one. Now we're going back to the fans, Android fans. I'm coming back at you. You know what is always Android fans always, I don't know, it's something about you guys. You always have an answer for everything. You know, that's the thing I noticed with Android fans. You guys have an answer for everything. And look, I get it. Android is, in my opinion, more superior when it comes to customization and also doing what you want to do. But sometimes the iPhone has some benefits, but yet you always have the perfect answer for everything, and that just makes you look like an asshole. You always have to say, oh yeah, but this, but that, but this, but that. You like have no intention of listening to the other side. You just want to just be like, fuck them, we're the best. Like, you ever heard of the thing, you listen to somebody, let them finish, then you counter, find some common ground? With Android fans, I don't see no common ground anywhere, because you guys literally purposely just bash people. Now let's talk about the ecosystem. Android fans, don't tell me the Google ecosystem is the best in the world. Look, it took Google that long to do it with Chromebooks, Google Docs, and all that. Apple had that shit set up since boom. Maybe they didn't master it like Google did, but there are some ways you can argue. Now, whether you guys like to say Google's ecosystem is better and stuff, here's the difference. I have used Android headphones. I have experimented with the Google ecosystem. It is nowhere close to Apple's. How do I say this? Well, Apple uses iCloud for everything. Google, unlimited storage. That's fine. But here's the difference. When Apple has their own technology as well to use their own CPUs and stuff and benefits, you know for a fact that shit's gonna be awesome. So look, for example, Beats X headphones. Beats, any Beats. The W1 chip, the H1 chip, allows you to connect to all your devices without having to manually sync them. I had a Google Chromebook, I had a Google Pixel phone, and I had a Chromecast. Connected my Bluetooth headphones, Galaxy Pixel Buds, and yes, I did have this, although I never made the video. I just wanted to try it out. The headphones were not synced to all my accounts. And this is just headphones, but this goes for other things as well. Then you get your smart assistant, although that works pretty well. Google Docs, just okay. But who's gonna use Google Docs on a phone? Dude, I don't even use Pages on my phone. The point I'm trying to say is that you may have a similar experience, but you're never gonna top Apple's. Like, I'm sorry. You may think you got something similar, but you're never gonna top Apple's ecosystem. They had that shit built out since day one. So don't tell me, oh, well, it can. It can, but will it? Remains to be seen. And lastly, my main issue with Android YouTubers and fans is the same with Apple. This shit never stops. You guys continue. It's like literally a routine. Make a video trashing Apple, talking about things about Android phones that Apple can't do. Comment on Apple fanboys starting shit about Android, literally causing fights, crashing, etc. repeats. So you guys are just as guilty as Apple fans and Apple YouTubers. Although I probably should have addressed Apple fans though, because they're pretty stupid. I'm not gonna lie. They like to say iOS is better than Android. I'm like, I got this. I got this. And I've been using Apple since 2006. So the point that I'm trying to make is that you may think that you don't have any wrongs, but if you really examine yourself and see what you do, there are some similarities on how you act with Apple fans, because you guys have the same issues. You both are supportive of both things, but you take them to an excess, and you never are willing to look at the other side and see what people like. That is where I come in, and now I'm going to end it and say, why did I make these two videos? Now I explain to you why I refuse to side with Android fans or Apple products or Android products. Because of all the shit I listed. That is why I remain unbiased. That is why I prefer both. That is why I keep my personal stuff out of my videos. That is why I do what I do and why I say what I say. I give you the news, keeping the biased shit out and keeping it 100% real. If Apple shit sucks, I'm gonna say it. If Android shit sucks, I'm gonna say it. If Android likes to make jokes at Apple, I'm gonna call them out on it. If Apple likes to do the same thing, I'm gonna call them out on it. If one did it before the other, I'm going to say something. If somebody did this before that, I'm going to do it. The point is, I'm going to call out both sides. I'm not going to stop at just one. I'm going to call out both, because both of you have a problem. And that's my issue. And that's why I did these videos. Now, obviously, I'm not trying to focus. I didn't focus heavily on Android YouTubers, because there are some good Android YouTubers and there are some good Apple YouTubers. So I will make a follow-up eventually recommending who I think you should be watching that keep unbiases out, that look at both sides, that do exactly the same that I do. The only difference is I'm not afraid to say it as it is. They may have some restrictions with their paid promotion and all their censored bullshit. I'm not afraid. I don't give a shit. So I'm different from that because I want to say what I have to say, and I don't give a shit about the consequences. Although, to be fair, there is an extent to that. But still, I don't give a shit if no company pays me to say this and that. I don't do the same for Apple or Android. Y'all came up with me with an offer? Fuck your offer. I'm not gonna get paid to do that. That's just who I am. So that's gonna do it. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts down below. I'm gonna get some hate. Thank you for watching and peace.